December is the time for lists. Not just reading lists for the downtime that you have over the holidays, but of course, shopping lists for presents for your loved ones. Why not combine the two with McNally Robinson Booksellers, who are here with their What to Read list, again, for December. Chris Hall and Kathleen Friesen have suggestions for reading lists of all ages, and they join us live in the studio. Nice to see you both.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So maybe I'll start here with you, Kathleen. What do you notice about the kinds of books that people are buying for the children in their lives during the holiday season? How do those shopping habits switch up compared to the rest of the year?
This time of year is so fun. I love seeing people just walk up to the till with armloads of books. Box sets are a great gift. Get those kids reading over the holidays, get them started on something new. And beyond books too, games and puzzles are a big thing this time of year. You can pair a book with a toy. It's just so fun. So fun to buy for others.
I love the idea of box sets too, just keeping everybody occupied for as long as possible over the holidays too. What about for you, Chris? What are you noticing on the adult side for how the shopping habits change when it comes to books?
Well, I always take this question to your idea about the lists. People come in with lists, but it's not for themselves. They come in for others, and you can kind of tell. It's quite noticeable. People have a whole different approach. So, and my list as well, November and December, my what to read list tends to be not sometimes a little bit of what I'm going to read, but sometimes just a great gift for that might appeal to a lot of people.
Well, and your list for this month, Chris, reflects that quite a lot. And we'll get into that in just a second, but I want to start with the kids' books that Kathleen has brought in, starting with Moon Song by the Tlingit author Michaela Goad.
Yes, Michaela Goad is from southern Alaska, Tlingit Nation, as you mentioned. We're really familiar with her work on I Sang You Down from the Stars, which was written by our local author, Tasha Spillett, a few years ago. She's also written and illustrated her own book called Berry Song a couple of years ago. That one celebrated summer. And now she's back with Moon Song, which is a celebration of winter, and specifically the wonders that a winter's night can bring. So very, very beautiful watercolors and colored pencil. Just absolutely stunning. I wish you could all see it, but come to the store and check it out. Basically, one night as darkness is falling, a young girl's little cousin says, I'm afraid of the dark. And so she takes him outside and uses her knowledge of the land and really encourages him to find comfort in those sources of light that are actually out there in the dark of night. So the glow of the moon, the sparkle on the snow, the northern lights in the sky, and then the glow of home as they turn towards the house. And it's just really, really beautiful. She encourages us to kind of celebrate both the light and the dark of winter. And
I would imagine that kind of a book lends itself really well to illustrations and to those watercolors that you mentioned. And I'm wondering how do you find those watercolors adding to the language that Michaela Goad uses to describe all of this? Yeah,
she uses this gorgeous lyrical language and just somehow the images are so evocative. There's a double page spread that actually folds out of the northern lights. It's just the two small children at the bottom, just, with the immensity of the sky above. She just does an amazing job of portraying that kind of moment. So,
and we get another sort of a starscape or an image of the night sky with your other selection for this month, The Secret Astronomers by Jessica Walker.
Yes, so this is going to be for our older readers. It's a young adult novel, so 12 or 13 and up. And yes, it unintentionally got the kind of astronomical theme going here, but this is a super fun book. It's actually a debut. Jessica Walker is an artist and illustrator, and she actually uses some of that, some of her artwork in this novel too. So basically the novel is told as a series of letters between two high school students within the pages of an old astronomy textbook, a real textbook published in 1888, I believe.
Wow.
So you see the text of this old textbook, and overlaid you have Post-it notes and doodles between these two girls in high school. They're in West Virginia, which is also the home of an observatory. So there's our protagonist is kind of mourning the loss of her mother. She's just moved back to her mother's hometown. She's dealing with that. She finds a note in her grandparents' house that her mother has left, and tells her to find the oldest book in the high school library. And hidden inside are the secrets that are being left behind forever.
Wow.
So she finds this book. and starts leaving notes inside, and another student ends up responding, has found the book, and they start communicating and trying to solve these mysteries, all within the pages of this real textbook.
Wow, mysteries hidden within the pages and in the stars as well. But again, we're talking about like a really interesting visual element here with the overlay of these notes on top of the on top of these texts in the textbook. How does, again, I'm going to ask about how the visual element here, how do you find that enhances the reading experience from a young adult perspective too? Because that's not necessarily something that's in every YA experience.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the book, the physical book itself is made to look like this textbook. So as soon as, page 1 is actually, the credits and the publishing date and this note is taped to the inside. And so all the doodles and notes, sometimes they actually are related to the text of the textbook, and sometimes it's just these notes in between. And the drawings are done by the artist herself. The edges of the pages look like they've been doodled on. It's just like, it's actually really, really neat to hold that book in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you didn't even notice the connection between the two things that you brought in today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add that your first selection here, Chris, also has, I don't know how you guys at McNally Robinson do this, but you always seem to have this like subconscious programming plan. You could really make a thing for radio if you ever wanted to switch careers. But you have another similar sort of an interactions-based book with a supernatural-ish component to it in House of Day, House of Night by Olga Tokarczuk.
Yeah, absolutely. Olga Tokarczuk is I guess one of my favorite authors, because I believe this is the third novel that I've brought on for What to Read. Books of Jacob and Impusium last year I brought on. So yes, a familiar name. She won the Nobel Prize in 2018, and this is a new one, newly translated, that is, because it's actually an older one for her, back to 1998 that the book came out in Poland. It most reminds me of one of her earlier books called Flights, which was a series of stories, and some were tiny, others longer, but all gathered around ideas of travel and visiting and migration. And House of Day, House of Night is also a novel of stories, and they're all centered on this Polish village where a woman, who is our narrator and who knows no one there, she settles. And there are very few inhabitants, but the place teems with stories, both stories of the living and stories of the dead. There's the drunk Marek who discovers to his horror that he shares his body with a bird. There's a man whose death with one leg on the Polish side, one on the Czech, becomes an international incident. There are the lives of the town's saints, as well as the Germans who still haunt the region. Not long ago, they called that home before they were removed. And the publisher calls it another constellation novel, to tie into Kathleen, which I just discover in this moment.
Perfect.
So
we planned it.
Exactly. So I love that description of this as a constellation novel, because you then get a sense, it sounds like, of all these, you get to tap into all of these different stories, and then that sort of varied reading experience maybe then keeps the interest high in a book like this when you have the time to engage with it over the holiday season. Do you find that people are more willing to give a book that is a bit headier like this the time of day when they have more time in the day at the holiday season to read it?
Well, I'm always encouraging that. I always encourage, buy a heady book when you've got some time to actually spend with it, because, you can't when you're busy, so you can sometimes, at least when you're on holidays. So, I mean, I'm always encouraging that, but whether people are up for it or not, I can't really tell. But I agree. I love these books where the overall story and the world, as it were, adds up because of individual pieces. It's great. Another
headier read, a bit more of a nonfiction exploration, is another addition to this month's edition of What to Read, Sven Beckert's exploration of capitalism.
Yes.
Very apropos for the shopping season as well.
That's true. That's true. Its subtitle is A Global History. So if one of your loved ones has put doorstop on their list, then this is the book for them. It arrives at 1,344 pages.
Holy
and
smokes.
It is an attempt to tell the defining history of the past 1,000 years of human history through capitalism. So capitalism was born global. Beckert argues, and too many of our attempts to explain it are undermined by focusing too much on a given place or a given time. So he draws on archives from 6 continents. He locates moments of resistance, of innovation, the coercion, everywhere in the world, and explores contributions from everyone from heads of state to rural cultivators.
Wow.
And so he tries to avoid judgments of good or bad. He trying to indulge both possibilities. What he does refuse to accept is that capitalism is simply natural. Sometimes it's cloaked in this false timelessness and universality, and he insists instead it's a culmination of decisions and actions by human beings, and he attempts to plot that course. And of course, then he argues that if we want to change it, we can make different decisions. So it's an ambitious project. It's aimed at an ambitious reader. But if you have someone on your list who might be up for this, it would be a great gift.
There's something to be said also, and this is far and away not the point of a book like this, but there's something about like having a book like that on your shelf when someone goes over and says, boy, look at that hefty tome. That person's got to be a smart...
What are they trying to prove?
What are they trying to prove is right. Something on the far lighter fare, completely different, but perhaps an interesting gift to give to someone. The new book from Canadian humorist Mark Critch, Sorry Not Sorry.
Sorry Not Sorry, yes, an unapologetic look at what makes Canada worth fighting for. So the man known, Mark Critch that is, for his sharp-witted skits in this hour has 22 minutes, and he has now aimed that wit at the question of what it means to be Canadian at a time when our national pride is on the rise. Chapters include It Can Happen to You and I Want My Flag Back and Operation Trojan Moose. Mixes humor with satire, as you might expect, with our unique history, and tackles serious questions about national identity and the future of Canada. So he offers his perspective on the country's relationship with monarchy, the cultural impact of Canadian celebrities living abroad, and the hypothetical scenarios of provincial separations. It's certainly a comedic take on Canadian life, but it's also deeply personal and insightful, whether he's writing as a lieutenant in a fictional American invasion or penning a love letter to Canada in the voice of Donald Trump.
No boy.
He entertains, but he's also provoking thought and will stir a sense of pride in readers. So kind of what you would expect if you're familiar with him from This Hour's 22 Minutes. It's a lot like that.
Well, and if you do watch This Hour's 22 Minutes, you'll have seen Critch's impression of Donald Trump numerous times on the small screen. And I believe I might have seen a post on social media of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney talking about this book as well. And I wonder if maybe Mark Critch maybe whispered in his ear, hey, Operation Trojan Moose. When's that going? When is that going? Exactly. When is that going to happen? Do you find we alluded to this a little bit before? Do you find that a book like this, written by somebody who has some fame here in this country, do you find that those kind of books tend to sell better as gifts over the holiday season?
Absolutely, yeah, they do. And this isn't. There's about 3 of these kinds of books right now. So yeah, it is definitely hitting in a moment. And yeah, Canadian celebrity that he has. Absolutely, these are good gifts. Familiar, not. Especially when you're not absolutely certain what somebody might want to read, they're kind of they're easy hits instead of when you don't know whether they're in for capitalism, for example.
Exactly. In the last little bit of our time together, actually, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are walking into McNally Robinson's locations here in Winnipeg, either at Grant Park or down at the Forks, or maybe at your website. They're not sure what they're looking for, but they know that this is a great place to start. Maybe, Kathleen, I'll throw this back to you to say that when somebody's coming into the kids' book section on the second floor there, and they're trying to find that perfect gift, but they're not quite sure what that gift is, what kind of advice do you offer that kind of a shopper typically? Or what advice would you have for that kind of a shopper?
My advice, I'm also, my other job at the store is display coordinator, so I'm always telling people just look at the displays. These are the books that are absolute favorite books. We're so excited to just put them out in front of people. So that's what all those tables are for. And we put a lot of work and love into those. And these are actually our favorite books. These are the books that we think would make great gifts. So just see what's out in front of you, because there's a reason why we put them out there. So
sure. not for nothing, there is a display of the What to Read selections
Exactly.
every month near the front of the Grant Park location. What about for you, Chris? What advice would you have for that kind of shopper looking for that perfect holiday book?
I went the same direction. I mean, you can certainly, if you can get our attention, because we're a little bit under siege individually.
I believe it.
So it's hard. But yeah, our whole, we are all geared up. As readers, we get together once a month. We plan what we're going to order in quantity, what Kathleen will be putting on displays. So this comes as a very purposeful process. So the reason there's books in quantity enough to be on displays is because we chose them, and we recommend them. So yeah, you can certainly come in and make use of the displays for sure.
A great suggestion and a great idea for gifts that can accompany beautiful snowfall outside of our studio windows here right now on St. Mary's Road and throughout the holiday season. That list once again: Sorry Not Sorry by Mark Critch, House of Day, House of Night by Ola Tokarczuk, Capitalism by Sven Beckert, Moon Song by Michaela Goda, and The Secret Astronomers by Jessica Walker. Kathleen Friesen and Chris Hall, thank you so much once again for sharing this list with our readers. We'll have it up at our website, classic107.com, and on the Classic 107 app. All the best to you and the McNally Robinson team over the holidays.
Thank you, and happy holidays to everyone out there.
Yes, happy December.